Hey guys, it's Audra and welcome back to 365 Projects. I am here today with my Emojiathon TBR and my middle grade March TBR. So we're going to do a mashup of the two together. I'm going to read all middle grade for the month, which I'm excited about, and I had a lot of great books on my list. I know I am late to the party. I have been like 17 hours away from my home the last several days, so I couldn't film and I didn't have my list together. So I'm just going to hop right into it and go through all of the challenges, what each book is going to count for, and a very, very brief, if any, synopsis on these books so we can get reading for the month of March. So here we go. So the first challenge we're going to talk about is to read a book that you haven't read yet and you don't know why. And for me, that is Pax by Sarah Pennypacker. I got this book when it first came out, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I had not picked it up yet. I think it's because I know it's going to be a heartbreaking read. But this is about a boy and a fox during World War II setting that are best friends, and then they are split up because the boy moves away, and the grandfather, I believe, won't let him take the fox with him. And it's their story on how they get back to each other. And it's told like in alternating perspectives of the boy and then the fox, and I've heard it's heartbreaking, and so I'm nervous, but I know it's a good one. My kids have loved it so far, and they've stolen my personal copy so they can read it, but I'm excited to dig into this one first, probably, maybe, we'll see. The next challenge, we have a book with mental illness, and that is The Goldfish Boy by Lisa Thompson. This is about a boy with agoraphobia. I think that's how you say it. He doesn't like to get out of his house. He's scared of being in public, and he witnesses a crime outside of his house, and he has to figure out how to help solve it when he doesn't like to go outside. So the tagline is, "The perfect crime has an imperfect witness." So this reminds me a lot of The Woman in the Window, I think, is a book that everybody has been reading lately. But this would obviously be the middle grade version, so we shall see if it's any good. The next one is to read a book that involves sports, and for that I have found Tamba Ali. This is a book about a Kansas City Chiefs player, and since I'm from Kansas and we are big Chiefs fans here, it's a short chapter book about my dad's favorite player, so I'm excited to read this and see if I would like to purchase it for my own school library. The next challenge is to read a road trip or a travel book, and this one may be stretching a little bit, but it's one I've been wanting to read for a while, and it's on our award list for next year. So I will be picking up Unbound by Anne E. Berg, and this is the story of slaves running away for freedom, and it's told in verse, so this will be a super quick read. I have read her book, All the Broken Pieces, and absolutely adored that one, and so I'm dying to pick up this one. I know it's a good one, but it'll be perfect for this challenge, hopefully, if it counts as travel, running away, kind of. We'll see. Either way, I'm going to read it. The next one is to buddy read a book, and although I don't have any friends buddy reading with here on BookTube, I am going to be buddy reading a handful of these with some of my 5th grade students. For example, I've already talked to somebody about reading Pax that they've started, and we're going to kind of buddy read and compare notes. So there'll be some other ones throughout here that I will be doing the same thing with my kids at school. For the next challenge is to read a book that you are cautious to start. And as you can see, I'm already kind of getting nervous talking about this one. This is Miss Bigsy's Last Day. This is on our award list for next year. I have the advanced reader copy, but a kid is actually borrowing my finished copy at school. This is about a teacher that gets cancer and has to leave school in the middle of the year, and it's kind of the kids talking about her and the impact they've had on their lives. I've been cautious, obviously, since I'm a recent breast cancer survivor, about picking this one up, but I had to read it because it's on the award list, so I need to just get through it. Probably, from what I gathered from a kiddo, not going to like the ending, but hopefully I can get through without too much of a traumatic reaction. We'll see. So my nonfiction book will be The Great and Only Barnum by Candace Fleming. There's a whole tagline here, but basically it's life about P.T. Barnum. I have been obsessed with The Greatest Showman, and I have the soundtrack on repeat like everybody else has lately, and this is just the story of his life. And I actually read another book by Candace Fleming about the Romanovs, and I thought it was going to be the biggest bore, but her writing in nonfiction actually reads a lot like a novel, and I loved it, and I'm super excited to try this one out. Now the next one was really, really tough to pick. It was Read a Diverse book, and I have a couple others that I might try to tag into this too, but I'm going to go with Lucky Broken Girl by Ruth Baer. This is about a little girl who breaks her leg, I believe, skating, and she has to be in a body cast, and it's about her life, I think, in Cuba. Yeah, yep, in Cuba. And she's a hopscotch queen. She wears go-go boots, all that kind of stuff. But this is the true story of the author's life, and I had the opportunity to sit in with fifth graders that read this book and then got to Skype with the author. And Ruth is outstanding, and I just can't wait to read this book. I recommended it to them because I had heard great things about it, but I haven't read it yet. So I need to put my money where my mouth is, I guess, and just read this book finally. My next challenge will be to read an audiobook, and there will be several of these throughout the month that I actually listen to an audiobook, but my priority will be Ghost by Jason Reynolds. This one, I have heard that the author does the first chapter on YouTube somewhere. He reads it, and it is absolutely outstanding to hear his voice. And so it's a short one. I'm going to read this one via audiobook, I think, and this could also count for sports if I don't get to the other one, because it's about a kid that is a track star. I don't know much about it, but I know it is supposed to be absolutely amazing and diverse and, yeah, appeal to a lot of different readers. So I'm excited to finally dig into this one. And anything that Jason Reynolds touch is gold to me, so I'm down. The next one is to read a book that has been adapted, and for this one I've chosen Matilda by Roald Dahl, and this is one of my childhood favorites, which I'll talk about more in my middle grade March challenges. But I'll be reading this and then watching the video, which I am super excited to see again because it's been a hot minute. The next challenge is to pick a freebie, and for that I'm going with What the Night Sings by Best Stamper. I picked this up at the bookstore yesterday because I had never heard of it, and it looks to be a beautiful World War II novel with some illustrations as well. The style of it just reminds me of Echo by Pam Munoz-Ryan, and I absolutely adore that book, so I couldn't leave the bookstore without this one. So I don't know much about it except it has to do with World War II and the concentration camps and a kid that's trying to understand what being Jewish is when, even though they're Jewish, they don't really know what that means to the rest of the world. So this is going to be probably a gut-wrencher, heart-wrenching, all that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely going to be digging into this at the beginning of the month. The next one is to read a fantasy, and for that I'm going with Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. This is one that I have never read, nor have I seen the movie, which is kind of embarrassing as a library media specialist, but I'm going to give it a shot. I think it's a fantasy because they go into a different world out in the forest, maybe, we'll see, but that's what I'm going to count as a fantasy if I can get to it. My ebook, I actually have in physical form right now, and that is Fuzzy by Tom Engelberger and Paul Dellinger. This is one that's on our list for next year of Kansas books, and it's basically the story of a middle grade robot and trying to fit in. So I'm going to read this on my ebook just to count it as that, but I also have it in physical copy if I get tired of reading from the screen, because, yeah. The next challenge is to read a book that everybody's been talking about, and at work, I've had several friends reading Greetings from Witness Protection. This is a middle grade book about some kids that kind of go along with some notorious criminals and kind of make the mirage of a family unit, I think, as they go through and make more crimes. And so it says it's a funny and heart-lifting story that is also thrilling, with readers being on the edge of their seats. So I'm excited to dig into this one because it's been a raved about book from both teachers and students. For the book that you've started but haven't finished, my middle grade pick is The Honest Truth by Dan Gamenhart. I think that's how you say his name. He's a great author. I just can't say his name for the life of me. This one I have not finished because it is about a boy who is fighting cancer, and he knows he's not going to make it, so he goes on this journey. I'm scared to get to the end, even though I have read the ending, which I had never done in my life before. I've flipped through the end, and I think it's more like an open ending, so sorry to, ruin that ending, I guess, for you if you want to read this one. But I started this while I was doing chemo, and I need to finish it. For the book that is older than me, I'm going with Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This was made in 1975, and I was born 13 years later, so you can do the math. Yeah. I read this as a kid. I'm excited to read it again and then watch the movie, along with Matilda, obviously. So this will be a good one to reread. The book that I've never heard before, or that is indie, I found this at the book fair last week, and it's The Parker Inheritance by Varian Johnson. This one sounds like a cute one. This little girl finds a letter from her grandmother to somebody else, and it kind of has all these clues and a mystery that they have to like go and solve within their town. And I believe it kind of goes back and forth in time within segregated South. So it looks kind of cute. You can kind of see the cover does that as well. So I'm excited to try this one out and hopefully have a new idea to give my kids for a historical fiction mystery type book. So the sci-fi book for me, I think might be a little bit of a cheat. It's a graphic novel called Tyrannosaurus Ralph, and I picked this up at the bookstore this last weekend. It is about a boy who's trying to avoid running into his bully coming home from school and also from turning into a T-Rex. So I love the colors, and I'm excited to read this and then donate it to my library at school. My mystery or thriller will be a middle grade mystery thriller, so it's probably a little bit tamer than the ones that you've picked out, but it is The Truth As Told by Mason Buttle by Leslie Connor. I absolutely adored All Rise for Perry T. Cook, her latest book before this one. This one just came out. This is about a boy whose best friend dies, and the police don't quite believe him as to what happened to his friend. So it's kind of solving that in the background, as well as him trying to make new friends through all of this hardship. So I'm sure those are going to be the mystery, a little bit of a thriller, I guess, for a middle grade. But I'm excited to read this and then pass it on to my students that read this for Mock Newberry last year. Another challenge will be to read a book with my favorite color on the cover, and that will be Walking with Miss Millie by Tamara Bundy. My favorite color is green, so I just picked this one. It's one that was on our Mock Newberry for this year, and I didn't read it, but my kids loved it, and they spoiled the ending for me, which I'm super upset about. But even though that happened, I'm just going to read this anyways because they say it's an absolutely fantastic book. It's about a little girl who makes friends with an elderly black woman in her community and walks her dog, and it's just their relationship in, I think, the segregated South. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what's happening, and I cannot wait to get into this one because my kids are kind of upset I haven't read it yet. So another challenge on here is a smutty, a new adult, or adult book. And for the month of March, since I'm only reading middle grade, my adult book will be my book club pick. So we have book club tonight, so I will leave it down below what I end up picking for that. Well, actually what the club picks for that. And that will be my adult book for the month. So we shall see. Now, as for the picks of the hosts, I probably won't be getting to most of those because they are YA or adult books. I have started the hating game and I left it at my boyfriend's house, so I need to pick that up even though it's like 4 hours away. So hopefully at some point I'll get to finish that book. But We Are the Ants and Keep Her Safe, and I think there's one more. We'll have to wait for another time. But that is it for my Emojiathon TBR. Quickly, I will run through my middle grade March. Since the whole month is middle grade, it kind of counts for that. But here are my challenges for that particular readathon. The first challenge that is for the middle grade March is to read an award-winning book. And I have chosen Lucky Broken Girl. Although you can't see the award on the cover, a couple weeks ago it won the award for being the Bell Prix winner of the year. And that just means it is the best representation of Latina characters and culture in children's literature for the year. So there's that one. The second challenge for middle grade March is to read a book that has been adapted into movie or TV. And I'm going to change it up from the last challenge and go with Tuck Everlasting. Like I said, it's been made into a movie, even though it's a classic, so we're going to go with that. My third challenge for this one will be a childhood favorite, and that is Matilda, which I already talked about. I'm excited to get back into the little character that is a book lover and to see Miss Trunchbull and all that go down again. Challenge number 4 is to read a classic, and that would be Bridge to Terabithia. I gotta get to this one, like I've said before. So the fifth and final challenge for middle grade March is to read a diverse book, and I have a whole bunch for my TBR. So the first one would obviously be The Goldfish Boy with some mental illness rep. And the rest of these are cultures and ethnicities that would be considered diverse. I think for sure, I know for sure, I guess, that these two are own voices. So the one by Ruth Behar and then Jason Reynolds, those are written by authors that are from the same culture as the characters. And I'm not for sure about the rest of these. I find it weird that adult and YA books put the author's picture on the back cover and middle grade doesn't. So I'm not sure. I'm going to do some research to find out if these are own voices or not. But this is more of a biography. So those are all the books that I plan on reading in the month of March. So this was basically my March TBR slash Emojiathon TBR slash middle grade March TBR. It's a lot of books. I'm going to do my best to get through as many as possible and hope I have a better month than I did in February, which I will be sharing that with you here in a few days. So please stay tuned for that. If you like this video and want to see more, please hit subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.